All right, welcome back to T42 Podcast. I am Renee, your host for today. And for today, we actually have a special guest. And before I introduce her name, this guest is also in wellness industry, similar as me. She is a fitness and nutrition coach, and she is all the way in the US. And I want to welcome Lisa today. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you, Lisa?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me this morning.
Awesome. And our topic is obviously because you're in wellness industry. Therefore, we're going to talk about fitness and food. But before
Absolutely.
we jump into our conversation today, I thought of sharing with you my personal story. For the longest time, I've been into fitness. I mean, I've been working out. It's not something new to me. The only thing is that for the longest time, I've been doing the wrong workouts. So prior to this, before I started my wellness journey in Dubai, I've always been into intense workout. That's most likely because of working in corporate 9 to 5. I was always stressed out. And for me, I feel that the more I sweat, the better, just because I thought it was the right way. But I didn't see any results that I wanted to see. So my face was still puffy. I wasn't overweight or anything serious, but it's more of like, why was I still puffy considering that I've done so much of working out? But of course, the workout that I did was mostly cardio, like spinning, beatboxing, HIIT. Those are the things that I used to do. Unlike now, I've moved to it more Pilates, bar, hot yoga, and that's when I get to see the results that I want to see. If I were to reflect back, why I started doing all those intense workout was most likely because I was influenced by the social media. And
Yeah.
so we want to talk about it today. Like, most likely a lot of people, our listeners out there, can relate to this conversation because oftentimes people started working out because they're influenced by what they see out there, right? So, what are your thoughts with regards to this? I mean, what are the biggest mistakes people make when they blindly follow fitness trends?
Yeah, that's one of the most common things I see. And when clients first come to me, I've tried what I saw on Instagram and I don't feel good. And the first key point I want to make is that working out should make you feel good. Like you should enjoy your workouts. But one of the biggest, I don't want to say mistakes necessarily, but just something people are unaware of is there should be a combination in your workouts during the week. You should have some Pilates and bar. You should have a little bit of strength training and something that gets your heart rate up. I don't want to say it has to be cardio per se, but some kind of movement that boosts your heart rate. And a lot of people praise one type of workout. It's like, I only ever do HIIT. I only ever do Pilates. And if someone asks them what's the best type of workout, they're like, oh, it's what I do. But they forget the part that every body is going to react differently. So you may love HIIT, but another person's going to hate it. I don't love HIIT.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to tell my clients just because I don't like it, they can't like it. So I think they just forget they have to balance out what they're doing each week. And a typical guideline is 150 minutes of movement per week and 2 strength days. And however you want to make that fit into your week, you get to choose that.
All right. So essentially what you're saying is that the combination is the way to go. So it's not A or B, but to have it combined. Right.
Yes.
So for those who may not know what's good for them, how would they know that, do I need to still combine it with heat or any type of cardio?
Yeah. It's definitely trial and error. Like you do have to try out a different few types, but some of the signs that you're not doing the right workout for your body and you're actually going to lead yourself further away from results is having persistent pain. And that's different than being sore, but waking up in pain, not being able to move without bending over in aches, low progress. So, like we talked about, not seeing results, you have gone 4 to 6 weeks and you feel worse than you started, constant fatigue, or not sleeping good. So, like I said, your workouts you should be excited about, you should feel good, and you should see progress, even if it's
Mhm.
not a huge jump in progress. But if
Mhm.
you're constantly tired and in pain, you're probably not moving your body in the best way.
Wow, interesting fact. Well, I've experienced that, but I want to touch more on the pain that you mentioned. So when you say pain, does that, something that you experience right after the exercise, or is it like few workouts after? So how do they experience that to know that it's not right for them?
It's typically gonna be a few workouts because especially if you've gone from not working out into working out or you've gone from HIIT to Pilates, they're very different types of movement. So your body's going to be sore while it's trying to adapt. But after a week or two of doing it, if you're just as sore if not more sore than when you started, your body's not adapting to it. And again, I still get sore with my workouts, but it's typically when I've taken a long break, I pushed heavier weight, like there's some dynamic that made me sore. But if you stand out of bed and it's hard to walk or you can't reach up to the cabinet without your shoulder in pain, like those are signs that's not just muscle soreness, that's your body hurts.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can so relate to that. So I can give an example. So the first one was heat, but that was my first heat class.
Yep.
And I felt like I wouldn't say it was pain, but I remember I couldn't walk after. And I thought like right away, that's not for me. But the most recent one is actually advanced Pilates. So you know that I've always been doing Pilates, but it's more of like gradually increasing from beginner to advanced.
Yeah.
And so I tried advanced this one time. I tried advanced and I fell sick right after that. And so I told myself that maybe I'm not at that level yet. And so I stick to like more of a beginner at this point of time. I've been going for beginner for many times, but I feel like maybe advanced is not just for me yet. I don't know. Is that a sign that I shouldn't go for advanced?
It can be definitely a sign that it's a hard push right now, and the best way to figure it out is to try it out like you said, but given that you felt physically sick and you were like, "This, I just don't feel good," maybe you stay in the beginner intermediate range for now, but you do a little bit heavier weight or resistance, or you do more reps. So if the coach tells you to go slower, maybe you give them a few more reps because you know that you're in between that intermediate and advanced. So you just have to make those tweaks that will work for you.
Right. Okay. So that is in terms of like working out and other signs that you mentioned to know that a workout is not fit for you is also when you experience fatigue or you can't sleep. How does that even happen in the first place?
Your body will get so stressed. Seems counterintuitive. Workouts will help lower your stress, but also if you do too many or you do too many of the wrong ones, it's just going to stress your body. So again, muscles will tighten up, joints will tighten up. Internally, all your hormones will go crazy. So then your body's not going to want to sleep because it's trying to fight off all this stress and it doesn't know what to do with it. And I don't know if you've experienced this. When I'm overly stressed with things to do, I can't sleep. I lay in bed and I run off my list of, I got to get this done. That's what your body's doing. It's like, well, I need to fix this muscle and this bone. And it's like going through its to do list.
Yeah, I mean, no, I totally agree. This is what I said when I shared about my personal story. When I experience, stressful days, especially at work, but I pair it with intense workout, then I didn't notice any improvement at all. That is why I wanted to ask you, how can we relate this to, situation where you are fight or flight mode to combine it with intense workout.
There can definitely be a correlation because when I do my workout programming, I'm very diligent with what days I'm doing what workouts, and same with my clients. Some of them are nurses and they go to do 12-hour shifts. I'm not making them do their heaviest strength workout on that day. They've already worked 12 hours. They may come home and do a 10-15 minute yoga session and go to sleep. The days that I do my heaviest strength training, I'm not fully booked with meetings and clients. I'm not driving all over. It's the days, my calmer day, where I can push the workouts. And then the days where I have more to do and I'm more stressed, I do more recovery based workouts so that my body is getting both sides of the equations, but I'm not doing one full extreme on different days, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's literally how you curate your days with your workouts. Not about like, the more you do the better, but what
Yep.
you do on what day. Just
That's
out
why,
of yeah, and out of curiosity, because you're speaking about like, when you are stressed. Out of curiosity, how about on the days where you're having the time of the month? Is there any, arrangements with regards to what you should do? Or maybe you shouldn't even work out during the week?
so you definitely want to do your heavy strength training the week before. So any of your most intense workouts, do it right before your cycle starts. During it, you do want to keep moving, but lighter intensity. So that can be your Pilates, your yoga, going on a walk outside, just getting your body moving, specifically for a lot of the symptoms that come with female cycles. More recovery based workouts will help alleviate some of the symptoms, but you don't want to go full force heavy strength training unless you want to. Like if you feel like it, great. But a lot of people don't. And that's where they just do all or nothing, and you still want to do the light intensity, low impact.
Is there like a way where for our listeners, to try and understand this better? Okay, just in case if that you're trying to get how can they redesign it or curate it, for all you know that they've been doing something that has been wrong for them? How do they redefine what's right for them if they have been doing it wrong? How would you give them tips that is easy for them to follow?
Yeah. My first one would be try something new, which seems like an odd tip, but if you've been doing the same 2 or 3 workouts, go experiment with something new. Um, Even if it's a different form, if you've done normal yoga, maybe you try hot yoga. I personally do not like the hot yoga, but I've tried it, and that's the key point is try it and see how you feel. Second point I would make is take your 2 strength days or take your 2 most intense workout days, plan it ahead. So on Sunday, look at the rest of your week and say, okay, these are my 2 calmest days. And I know I have 45 minutes to an hour that I can allot to my training and put your hardest workouts on those 2 days and see how you feel at the end of the week when you've mix matched which days you do what workouts. And I would just say start with those 2 days. Don't worry about planning your entire week. Just say, these are my 2 hardest. I have time on these 2 days, and the rest of the week, fill it in with what feels good to you. And now you're not
Well,
worried about 7 days.
yeah, essentially start small and see how it progresses, right? Yeah, but
Yes.
how do we simplify this, right? In a week, how many times do you advise people to work out? What's the best number of times to work out?
Yeah. Typically, it comes down to about 5 to 6 times, and that goes back to the 150 minutes a week. So again, that's not 5 to 6 intense, it's just daily movement is your goal. Everyone always tells you get 10,000 steps, which is great. You should aim to get that. But essentially, what the steps mean is daily movement. Every day, you should have some kind of intentional movement aside from I walked to get coffee at my office, I did the dishes, I did laundry. Aside from being an adult, there should be at least 30 minutes a day that is allotted to you and your health. Even if that's just I go on a walk outside or I dance in my kitchen because it's fun and I'm making cookies. Like whatever that is, some kind of movement.
Right. So that itself, cutting steps itself, is considered as part of the 150 minutes per week. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah. And I say
Perfect.
5 to 6 because a lot of, at least for my clients, are doing longer than 30 minutes and they're doing strength on 2 days or 3 days and they're doing Pilates. And so on that 7th day, they take a recovery day. They're probably still getting most of their steps in because I'll make them go on a walk and I'll make them stretch for active recovery for their muscles, but they're not pushing intensity 7 days of the week.
Got it. So when it comes to recovery, you mentioned about recovery. How important is recovery in part of designing your workout week?
Okay, that can depend client to client. Beginners will need more recovery more than advanced. So I will split their strength training pretty much every other day. So they're not doing back to back intense workouts. And recovery can either be a complete rest, meaning you're not doing any kind of workout, but it can also be yoga. That is still movement, but it's more gentle for the joints. So you're helping your muscles recover. So when we look at recovery, we're going to look at a full rest versus an active recovery, which is still I'm moving, but my body is still healing through that movement because it's more of a stretch and a flow using your breath rather than I need to push all this weight. I'm out of breath. I'm shaky. I'm tired. So
Yeah.
again, comes back to the intensity of that workout and how we pair high intensity, then recovery day, then high intensity, then recovery day. And again, depends
Right.
as you progress, you can do more intensity but you don't really wanna do more than 3 or 4 days a week that are high intensity, so even at the
Mhm.
highest level, I'm pretty advanced with my fitness, I still have 3 recovery workouts a week, so, yeah.
I mean, I'm still in this topic in terms of like designing this workout that is ideal for you. And you mentioned about high intensity. What is your definition of high intensity? Because like for me, if I were to like design it, I my regular workouts would be hot mat Pilates, reformer, hot yoga, yin yoga. So I'm pretty sure yoga mostly for recovery. Put that, yeah. But I
Yeah.
don't do cardio anymore. Does that mean that I need to pair it with other cardio in this mix?
Not specifically cardio, strength training is one of the biggest that I say for high intensity, and it's oftentimes the form of exercise that people push away from their routine. So I would say if you can do 2 strength days a week, those are your 2 higher intensity just being higher impact, heavier weight, you'll get more out of breath, so the heart rate's gonna get moving more, you're working more total body, you feel more tired, like higher intensity, you will feel drained by the end of the workout. versus yoga, you will feel more loosened and stretched and lengthened and ready for your day. Just two different feelings from those workouts. But yeah, strength training, those can be your high intensity. 2 days that you are picking up some kind of weight. Pilates is kind of a mix. It depends on the class structure, the class speed, and what type you're doing, reformer versus mat. So again, your advanced class, that may be high intensity because you're probably out of breath and you're probably shaking and you're like, this is hard. Versus mat Pilates, where it's more focused on the breath, that would be recovery. So it depends on style when it comes to Pilates.
Mhm. And I believe that it also depends on the individuals whether how their body can take it, right? And so if they were
Yes.
to design it, their week workout, how can they tell that this works for them? Because you mentioned about seeing results, but obviously this is not something that you see overnight. It's a journey. But are there like tips or signs that for them to know that they're actually on the right track doing this?
Yes. So one, better sleep, which seems weird, but like we said, if you're stressed, you're not going to sleep good. So workouts are doing well for you if you sleep better. If you do a morning workout by midday, if you don't have that crash of I'm exhausted and just want to nap, if you feel energized, that's another good sign these workouts are working for you. And again, if you won't see the full results in terms of weight loss or losing centimeters and inches around your waist and hips, but your clothes may feel different. Like you may put on a shirt and you're like, this doesn't feel quite as tight. Even if you haven't lost anything, you're redefining and toning up those muscles, like everyone likes to say. You'll feel better in your skin. So if you wake up and feel different, I'll just put that in quotes, that can, again, be different for everyone. Maybe you don't feel as bloated. Those are all signs that your workouts are doing good for you.
Right, perfect. But right, we're going. I want to touch on the fact that you mentioned working now 150 minutes per week, 5 to 6 times a week. But our listeners, we have multiple women, with different backgrounds. How about those who are busy women, maybe working 9 to 5 or busy moms? How do they do all this? Or maybe you have some tips to give them to even start workout.
So, again, going back to planning your week, I'm huge on plan out all of your workouts and your meals for the week. Look at the schedule, and if you working Monday to Friday, Sunday you have church and another event you're going to, Saturday is your most free day. Maybe that's your longest workout. Maybe instead of 15 minutes, it's 45 minutes. And so you put the biggest chunk of your time on the day that you have time, again, so you're not adding stress to other days. But when you work, maybe it's right before work or right after, 15 minutes. You don't need to always have the craziest, longest workouts. Even 15 minutes of Pilates, 15 minutes of I'm going to lift weights in my arms today, or I'm going to do just glutes and quads today. 15 to 20 minutes a day it still counts as movement. Going on a walk with your kids. So if you get back from work and you're like, I'm going to go on a 15-minute walk with my husband before dinner, finding ways that movement is fun, finding ways where it doesn't take away from the schedule. So that walk is time to connect with your husband. It's time to be like, this happened at work and this is crazy, and like talk about your day. Also a good stress relief strategy. But yeah, just making it fit in without putting the pressure of it needs to be a full hour-long workout, because it doesn't. You can still see results with 15 and 20-minute workouts. It just comes down to choosing it, and I can tell you 15 minutes, people will still tell me they don't have time. You do have to make the time, but 15 minutes out of your day and you will still get a good workout in.
Yeah. No, actually, I totally agree with you. I mean, to be honest, 50 minutes per week, it's not that bad. I mean, imagine it's not like you're going for classes every other day, which is 60 minutes. At least that's what I do. But I was just wondering, if more than 150 minutes per week, is that considered too much? Or 150 minutes is very minimum?
That 150 is the bare minimum. That is the threshold of every person should reach 150 a week. But once you've surpassed that beginner stage, once you've gotten a routine and you're like, I want to work out more, absolutely work out more. I probably double that per week, if not triple. I work with a lot of athletes and dancers, and we are by far surpassing that number. And even a lot of my moms who go to their Pilates classes or they go to their strength classes at the gym, it's 60-minute classes. Surpassing that, that's just, if you're starting out from zero, that's your first goal and target to hit.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And like I said, it's doable. And I like the idea that you mentioned you'll pair it with something that you like, or look at it as, like a quality time, like you spend with your spouse, going out for a walk rather than pressuring yourself, like, I need to complete my steps for the day. You know what I mean? Look at it from a
Yeah,
positive angle. And I also like the fact that you mentioned about, start small, start small. It's always about this atomic habits, and break it into small goals, like daily habits. You don't have to complete 10,000 steps at one go. Always break it into
yeah.
small milestones for the day. And speaking of that, I also want
I
to
like
link it to, sorry, you mentioned something?
I
No.
was just gonna
Okay.
say, I like daily movement to be the goal instead of 10,000 steps, because I know for myself, I got in a bad habit of I wouldn't reach 10,000 steps, and I was like, "Oh, well, it's 10 p.m., I gotta go walk," and I would be so hard on myself for it, and now I'm in the routine of I go on daily walks, but if I hit 8,000 steps, I just step back, I'm like, "I went on a walk, I spent time with my boyfriend, I moved my body, I feel good." Take the pressure off of always hitting those thresholds and give yourself the credit of you've shown up and you've done the work. And like you've said, I bring up strength training a lot because it is the foundation for a lot that we do. And every adult needs to do it, but a lot don't. But a lot of people don't enjoy strength training. Give me 2 days of the week. The rest of the week, you should enjoy your exercise. I want you to learn to like lifting weights. But if you don't, you only have 2 days to do it. And the rest of the week, you pick your favorite kind of exercise, whatever you want to do.
Right, right. That sounds easy and doable. Like, especially when you said that, just do this twice a day strength training. And after that, mix, whatever that you want in the week,
Yeah.
during the week. I think, yeah, that sounds doable. I want to relate it to food because, okay, when it comes to fitness, it's not just about working out, but you also want to complement it with what you consume. And so I wanted to
Right.
ask, with regards to nutrition, what do you think are the common mistakes that people do that would actually stop them from getting their results?
Underfueling is the biggest one I see, specifically for my female population, is not eating enough. They will do so many workouts, and a lot of females will do 2 workouts a day, or they do a workout in the morning and then they go on this like 2 mile walk at night and they've only had 1,000 calories. So, underfueling actually leads your body to more stress. So, it's going to increase cortisol and stress hormones, and your body's going to hold on to that stress by holding on to fat. So if you have a weight loss goal or you're wanting to define your muscles, underfueling is actually doing the reverse of that and leading your body to hold more fat. There sometimes overfueling is an issue, but it's much easier to clean up and slightly restrict than it is to take someone from 1,000 to 1,500 calories because they're such in a routine of not eating that when they start eating more, they're like, Lisa, I'm bloated. I don't feel good. And it's like, well, you've gone 10 years of not eating enough. It takes longer to adapt. But underfueling is the biggest issue I see because they're just leading their body to more stress and inflammation and fat building that we don't want.
That's interesting, yeah, because they need to know that after working out, part of it is also to refuel back. And, it's not about
Yes.
gaining weight, but you just have to give back to your body, and that's how your muscles will repair. A simple principle in terms of like what they should eat and what they shouldn't eat, especially if they want to like, fasten the result.
Yeah, absolutely. Before touching into what they exactly should eat, threshold with calorie intake, and I also don't love tracking. I don't make anyone fully track, but everyone should be eating at least 1,200 calories a day, which is still pretty low, but 1,200 is how much your body needs to function. So all of your organs and your muscles and blood flow and nervous system, your entire system needs 1,200 calories. So when you're eating less than that, your body itself can't function, which is when you see long-term health issues. So not to scare anyone, but if you're only eating 1,000 calories, your body is slowly just shutting down on itself. So we always want to make sure you eat 1,200, and that's just to be a human day to day. As soon as you add in any exercise, even if it's only 30 minutes of yoga, you need more than 1,200. So that's where that underfueling issue comes in. In terms of what to eat, I like to say the word clean eating. I don't like the word diet. It's restrictive and there's not one diet that's going to work for everyone. There needs to be more of an awareness of what you're eating and how much rather than a strict play by play. So, whole foods, trying to not have as many processed foods, going out to eat, buying packaged meals that have like the huge long list of ingredients. And we want to watch the added sugar. So on nutrition labels, it'll say total sugar. That number is fine. Under it, if it says added sugar, we want to watch that number. Females need less than 25 grams a day and men need less than 35 grams. So trying not to surpass that 25 grams. Nutrient dense, kind of tying into the whole foods and the sugar. You don't just want to eat a muffin that's full of sugar and vegetable oil and be like, oh, I fueled after my workout. There's no macronutrient, micronutrient, vitamins. There's nothing in that that's really helping sustain your muscle growth. So leaning more towards protein is going to be your biggest goal, whether that's a protein shake or maybe it's just almonds and an apple. Pairing the protein and carb combination is going to be your greatest workout tool.
I think when it comes to food, there's so much to talk about, but obviously this will be
Yes.
longer than, our episode for today. But I want to link this to, well, in Dubai here, most of them are obviously Muslim. So fasting month is coming soon, but I can always relate this to like intermittent fasting, for example. So for those who are doing intermittent fasting, how do you link this to workout? Because obviously you're fasting, so your food intake is lesser for the day, but how do you then link this to then workout and intermittent fasting?
Yeah, so intermittent fasting is definitely not my favorite option in terms of blood sugar regulation, which helps with glucose and prediabetes, etc. You want to try to eat every 3 to 4 hours, having a consistent routine. As soon as you wake up, within an hour of being awake, eat your first meal or snack. And then from that point, every 3 to 4 hours, eat something, whether it's a meal or a snack, just so your body consistently has fuel that can be used as energy during the day. So if you're doing intermittent fasting, you're obviously having to get all of your 1,200 plus calories in during that time. I would try to put your workout either in the middle of that or right at the beginning or right at the end. You don't want to do an 8-hour fasting period, end your fasting, and then work out 3 hours later. One, your body's going to have very little fuel going into it. And then because you're still in the fasting period, you're not going to put any fuel in right after the workout, which is also one of the biggest mistakes. You want to refuel within 30 to 45 minutes post workout. So fasting just gets tricky with scheduling because a lot of people consume their calories during work hours. And then when they do all their workouts, it's when they're not eating, which is reverse of what you want to do. So yeah, I would just be cautious if you're doing fasting, where are you putting your workout? Because it needs to be closer to when you're eating food.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, like you said, if you are fasting and you work out at the same time, because then it wouldn't give you the result that you want, especially when your body could probably be stressed for not having enough food. And you're mentioning about like it should be 30 minutes after you work out, you need to already refuel yourself. Is
Correct.
that right?
The fasting period can be whatever works for you in terms of your work schedule. It's just possibly moving your workout to a different time in that fasting period. You don't need to change the hours, you just might need to change the workout.
All right. Okay, perfect. So I want to have another one more last question is actually for those who are our listeners, right? Thinking, I mean, we can't assume like everyone are into fitness. There are people who are also trying to get into fitness, right? But between movement and nutrition, they're not sure which one to start or to begin with. What would be your advice? Which one to start, at least in the beginning? Which one should they start first?
It's a very controversial topic. I think I take a different approach than most trainers because my program is designed that the first month is fitness, and I believe if you had to pick one, I'm going to tell you to do both eventually, but if you had to pick one, fitness, there's a wider range of benefits. You may not always get the top tier of benefit, meaning if your goal is to lower cholesterol, for example, nutrition is obviously going to give you a greater benefit and more decrease of that cholesterol. Nutrition is not going to help you move when you're 85. It's not going to help you stand up out of a chair. It's not going to help you hold stuff. Fitness is not only going to help your physical abilities and mobility as you age, but also your cognition. And it does help your cholesterol and your health and your stress. So everything that nutrition does, plus it's going to help you live better for longer in terms of moving and seeing grandkids one day and going to the grocery store and being able to live independently. What you eat is not going to make you live independently. So that's why I pick fitness just because it's a wider range. It's going to prevent injuries, it's going to help maintain weight. And there is that nutrition rule of 80-20. You can't out-train a bad diet, but there is bigger risk in cutting calories and restricting. There's quick loss and quick results, which is sometimes more harmful versus a fitness approach. It's longer term, so it takes longer to see the results, but it's more sustainable and manageable. And again, has those greater range of benefits for what it helps your body with.
Right, perfect. And I think I just want to relate it to like if you mentioned that fitness is something that they should consider as, as first things for now. For our listeners who haven't started at first, what sort of fitness workout that you think that would be something that they should start with at least if they want to start and they are beginner in fitness?
Yes, definitely going on walks is the first one. If you live a very sedentary lifestyle and sit at a desk all day and you have not moved at all, just go walk. Get your body up and move it. That can be walking inside on a treadmill, that can be outside, that can be going to a nature park and going on a short hike, any form of walking. And again, you don't need to do an all out sprint, just walk and just move. And slowly from there, you can add in some of the Pilates and the light weightlifting. So you'll start with like 5-pound dumbbell, super, super light, but start with the walking. Give yourself a week or two of just going on a walk every day and see how you feel.
Right. Perfect. Thank you so much, Lisa. And for those listeners who want to reach out to you, I'm sure you have your social media. I'm definitely going to tag it, but maybe you can also share where can they reach out to you?
Yeah, so on Instagram, I am balanced with Lisa. And then if you don't have Instagram and would rather find me on Facebook, it is just my name. So Lisa Rhyne. Last name is Rhyne. But I would love to see you all and connect with you there. I do a lot of one-on-one private coaching that we deep dive into fitness, nutrition, and stress management. So if you're looking to transform your lifestyle and transform your body, I would love to talk with you about that.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much, Lisa, for today.
Thank you.